The moment Amara Okonkwo's body made contact with the stranger's lap, she knew she'd made a catastrophic mistake. The entire VIP section of the Lotus Club went silent. Even the bass-heavy music seemed to quiet. The man beneath her went absolutely still, and she felt it. The unmistakable outline of a gun holstered under his perfectly tailored black suit jacket. "I'm so sorry," Amara whispered, already trying to stand. "I didn't mean to." A firm hand settled on her waist, keeping her in place. Not rough but absolute. The kind of touch that said he was used to being obeyed. "Stay." His voice was deep, accented, Korean, she thought, and sent an involuntary shiver down her spine. "Who are you running from?" Amara's heart hammered against her ribs. Behind her, she could hear Darius's heavy breathing, could feel his rage like heat against her back. She'd been hiding from him for 6 months. 6 blessed months of sleeping without fear, of not checking over her shoulder every 5 seconds. And tonight, he'd found her. "Amara!" Darius's voice cut through the club noise. "Get off that man right now." The stranger's hand tightened slightly on her waist. When he spoke again, his voice had dropped to something dangerous, something that made the air around them feel heavy. "She's not going anywhere with you." Amara finally looked at the man whose lap she was sitting on. Her breath caught. He was beautiful in a lethal way. Sharp jawline, dark eyes that seemed to see everything, black hair styled perfectly. But it was the coldness in those eyes that made her stomach flip. This was a man who'd seen darkness. Who'd lived in it. "Man, I don't know who you think you are," Darius started, stepping closer. The stranger said something in rapid Korean. Immediately, 4 men in black suits materialized from the shadows of the VIP section. Each one had their jacket open just enough to show the weapons beneath. Darius froze mid-step. "My name is Kim Ji-Hoon," the stranger said, his English perfect despite the accent. "And you have 10 seconds to leave my club before my men remove you. Permanently." "Look, that's my girl." 9 seconds. "We just need to talk." 8 seconds. Amara felt Ji-Hoon's other hand come up to rest on her knee. The gesture was possessive, protective. Her mind screamed that she should be terrified. She'd just involved herself with someone clearly more dangerous than Darius could ever be. But her body, her exhausted, fearful body, relaxed into his hold. 7 seconds. "Fine." Darius backed away, hands raised. "This ain't over, Amara. You hear me? This ain't over." Ji-Hoon said something else in Korean. One of his men followed Darius out. The music seemed to return to normal volume. The other clubgoers who'd been watching quickly found other things to look at. Amara sat frozen on this stranger's lap, unsure what to do now. Should she thank him? Run. Apologize again? "You're trembling." Ji-Hoon's voice had softened slightly. Not warm, exactly, but less arctic. "How long has he been hurting you?" The question, asked so directly, so knowingly, made tears spring to Amara's eyes. She blinked them back furiously. She'd promised herself no more crying over Darius. No more giving him that power. 3 years, she heard herself say. "I left 6 months ago." Ji-Hoon was quiet for a moment. His hand on her waist shifted, thumb moving in what might have been a comforting gesture. "And tonight he found you." It wasn't a question. Amara nodded anyway. "My driver will take you home," Ji-Hoon said. "Safely. With no expectations." Amara finally found the courage to turn and look at him fully. Up close, he was even more striking. But it was his eyes that held her. Dark, calculating, but with something else beneath the ice. Something that recognized the fear in her own eyes. "Why are you helping me?" Ji-Hoon's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his gaze. "When I was 15, I watched my mother die at my father's hands. I was too young, too weak to stop him." His jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "I'm not weak anymore. And I will not stand by while a man terrorizes a woman. Not ever again." The raw honesty in his words stole Amara's breath. This dangerous stranger with his guns and his guards and his cold eyes had just shown her a glimpse of the wounded boy beneath. "I'm sorry about your mother," Amara whispered. "Don't be sorry. Just let me help you." Ji-Hoon finally released her waist, reaching into his jacket. Amara tensed, but he only pulled out a matte black business card. "My personal number. If he comes near you again, if anyone makes you feel unsafe, you call me." Immediately. Amara took the card with shaking fingers. It was heavy cardstock, embossed with simple silver text. Kim Ji-Hoon. A phone number. Nothing else. I don't understand, she said. You don't even know me. I know enough. Ji-Hoon gestured to one of his men. Dae-young will take you wherever you need to go. He won't leave until you're safely inside with the door locked. Amara finally stood on unsteady legs. She looked down at this man who just saved her without asking for anything in return. In her experience, men always wanted something. Thank you, she said. Really? Thank you. Ji-Hoon's expression remained neutral, but his eyes tracked her movement as she stepped away. Remember what I said. If he comes back, you call me. I will. As Dae-young led her through the club and out to a waiting Mercedes, Amara's mind spun. What had just happened? Who was Kim Ji-Hoon? And why did part of her, the part that should know better, want to see him again? She looked at the card in her hand. Such a simple thing. Just a name and a number. But somehow it felt like a lifeline. In the car, Dae-young was politely silent, driving carefully through LA's late-night streets. Amara stared out the window, her heart still racing. She'd thought the most dangerous thing tonight would be Darius finding her. She'd been wrong. The most dangerous thing was the way her body had responded to Ji-Hoon's touch, the way his voice had made her feel safe for the first time in years, the way she was already wondering if she'd ever see him again. Miss Okonkwo, Dae-young said quietly, his English formal and precise. We're here. Amara looked up to see her small apartment building. Thank you. Dae-young got out and opened her door, then walked her all the way to her apartment. He waited while she unlocked the door, checked inside, then nodded. Lock the door. Check the windows. Mr. Kim will have someone watching the building tonight. Before Amara could process that statement, someone watching? Dae-young was gone. Inside her tiny studio apartment, Amara locked the door and leaned against it, sliding down until she sat on the floor. Her hands were still shaking. She pulled out the black card again, running her thumb over the embossed letters. Kim Ji-Hoon. She should throw the card away. She should forget tonight ever happened. Men like that, men with guns and guards and the kind of power that made Darius back down without a fight, were dangerous. Getting involved with him would be stupid. But as Amara got ready for bed, she tucked the card into her wallet. Just in case, she told herself. Just in case Darius came back. Deep down, she knew that wasn't the only reason. 3 days passed. Amara worked her shifts at Murphy's Diner, served coffee and pancakes to the morning crowd, smiled at regulars, and tried not to think about the man from the club. She almost succeeded. On the 4th day, everything changed. It was a Tuesday afternoon, the dead period between lunch and dinner rush. Amara was wiping down tables when the door chimed. She looked up with her customer service smile already in place. The smile died on her lips. Darius stood in the doorway, and he looked furious. Amara. He walked toward her with that familiar swagger that used to make her stomach drop. We need to talk. You need to leave. Amara's voice was steadier than she felt. Her hand instinctively went to her apron pocket, where she'd transferred Ji-Hoon's card. She'd been carrying it everywhere, like a talisman. Now, Darius. After 3 years, you just gonna run? Embarrass me like that in front of people? Darius's voice rose. Other customers were starting to stare. You think you're better than me now? Think that Asian dude is gonna save you? I said leave. Amara backed toward the kitchen. Rita, the manager, had already pulled out her phone. I'm not leaving without you. Darius lunged forward, grabbing Amara's wrist hard enough to bruise. Amara didn't think. She yanked out her phone with her free hand and pressed the number she'd already programmed. It rang once. Amara. Ji-Hoon's voice was immediate, alert. What's wrong? He's here, she managed, trying to pull away from Darius's grip. Murphy's Diner on Crenshaw. Don't move. I'm 6 minutes away. There was movement on his end, voices speaking rapid Korean. Put me on speaker. Amara did, her hand shaking. Darius Thompson. Ji-Hoon's voice filled the small diner, cold and absolute. You were told to leave Los Angeles. Darius's grip loosened slightly. Who the hell? I gave you one warning. You ignored it. That was a mistake. Ji-Hoon's voice was almost pleasant, which somehow made it more terrifying. In approximately 5 minutes, my men and I will arrive. What happens next depends entirely on whether you're still touching her when we get there. I suggest you think very carefully about your next choice. The line went dead. Darius stared at the phone, then at Amara. Something like fear flickered across his face. You don't know what you've gotten into, he said, but he released her wrist. That man is dangerous, Amara. Really dangerous. So are you, Amara shot back. But at least he's never hit me. Before Darius could respond, the sound of multiple vehicles screeching to a halt outside made everyone in the diner freeze. Through the windows, Amara saw 3 black SUVs. Men in suits emerged, moving with military precision. And then Ji-Hoon walked through the door. He looked different in daylight, still dressed in all black, still radiating that aura of controlled danger, but somehow more real. His eyes found Amara first, scanning her quickly, lingering on her wrist where Darius had grabbed her. Something dark crossed his expression. Then he looked at Darius. Outside, Ji-Hoon said quietly. Now. Man, I'm not going anywhere with you. Ji-Hoon moved so fast Amara barely saw it. One moment he was standing by the door, the next he had Darius pinned against the wall, forearm across his throat. That wasn't a request, Ji-Hoon said, his voice deadly calm. You put your hands on her. In my city. After I warned you. He leaned in closer. Outside. Or my men will carry what's left of you outside. Your choice. If you're enjoying this story so far, hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below telling us what you think of Ji-Hoon's protective side. Trust me, this story is just getting started, and you won't want to miss what happens next. Darius, face pale, nodded. Ji-Hoon released him and stepped back, gesturing to the door with terrifying politeness. After you. As they walked out, Ji-Hoon paused next to Amara. Stay here. I'll be right back. His hand briefly touched her shoulder. Warm, grounding. Then he was gone. Through the window, Amara watched as Ji-Hoon's men formed a circle around Darius in the parking lot. She couldn't hear what Ji-Hoon was saying, but she could see Darius's face going from angry to frightened. At one point, one of Ji-Hoon's men opened a laptop, showing Darius something on the screen. Whatever it was made Darius go completely still. The conversation lasted less than 5 minutes. When it was over, 2 of Ji-Hoon's men escorted Darius to a car, not roughly, but with clear intent. The car drove away. Just like that, Darius was gone. Ji-Hoon returned to the diner, his expression unreadable. Are you hurt? Amara looked at her wrist, already showing the red marks that would become bruises. I'm okay. No. Ji-Hoon's jaw tightened. You're not. But you will be. He glanced at Rita, who was still hovering nearby with her phone. Is there somewhere we can talk privately? Rita, eyes wide, nodded and gestured to her office. In the small back office, surrounded by schedules and supplier invoices, Ji-Hoon finally let his controlled facade crack slightly. Show me your wrist. Amara held it out. His fingers were gentle as he examined the marks, but she could feel the anger radiating off him. He's gone, Ji-Hoon said quietly. My men are escorting him to LAX right now. He has a one-way ticket to Atlanta and $5,000. He also has photos of what will happen to him if he ever contacts you again, if he ever returns to Los Angeles, if he ever even speaks your name. He released her wrist carefully. He won't come back. How can you be sure? Because I showed him what I'm capable of. And because I promised him that if he did, there wouldn't be enough of him left to identify. Ji-Hoon said it matter-of-factly, like he was discussing the weather. Amara should have been horrified. Instead, she felt a wave of relief so intense her knees went weak. Thank you, she whispered. Don't thank me yet. Ji-Hoon's eyes searched her face. Amara, you need to understand something. This won't be the last time danger finds you if you stay in my orbit. My world is complicated. I have enemies. Being near me makes you a target. What exactly is your world? Ji-Hoon was quiet for a moment, as if weighing how honest to be. I run an organization. Some of my businesses are legitimate. Clubs, restaurants, security firms. Others operate in the shadows. I'm what people call a crime lord, though I prefer to think of myself as someone who maintains order in places the law doesn't reach. He met her eyes steadily. I'm not a good man, Amara. But I keep my word, I protect what's mine, and I never hurt people who don't deserve it. The honesty was startling. Most men lied. Darius had lied about everything. His feelings, his fidelity, his intentions. But this dangerous stranger was laying out his darkness like cards on a table, giving her the choice. Why are you telling me this? Because I can't stop thinking about you. The admission seemed to cost him something. For 3 days, I've tried to forget the woman who sat on my lap looking terrified and brave at the same time. I've tried to convince myself that protecting you once was enough. I failed. He stepped closer. Have dinner with me. Let me explain my world properly. And then you can decide if you want me to disappear from your life or if you want to see where this goes. His voice had gone softer, almost vulnerable. I'm giving you a choice I never gave myself. Amara. Walk away now, stay safe, live your life. I'll make sure Darius never bothers you again regardless. Or take a chance on something dangerous and see if maybe, just maybe, we can be dangerous together. Amara's heart was pounding so hard she was sure he could hear it. Every rational part of her brain screamed to walk away. Crime lord. Guns. Violence. This was insanity. But the irrational part, the part that had felt safe for the first time in years when he'd protected her, the part that saw the wounded boy beneath the cold exterior, the part that craved the honesty he was offering, that part was louder. Okay, she heard herself say. Dinner. Something flickered in Ji-Hoon's eyes. Relief? Pleasure? It was gone too quickly to identify. Tomorrow. 7 o'clock. I'll pick you up. How do you know where I live? I've had someone watching your building since the night we met. At her sharp look he added, for your protection. If you tell me to stop I will. Amara should have been angry about the invasion of privacy. Instead, she felt that strange sense of safety again. Keep watching, she said quietly. Ji-Hoon's expression softened almost imperceptibly. Until tomorrow then. He left as suddenly as he'd arrived. His men following like shadows. Through the window, Amara watched the SUVs pull away. Rita appeared at her elbow. Girl, Rita said slowly. What have you gotten yourself into? I have no idea, Amara admitted. But I think I'm about to find out. The next evening, Amara changed outfits 4 times before settling on a simple black dress. She'd told herself it was just dinner, just a conversation, nothing serious. But her racing heart knew better. At exactly 7 o'clock, there was a knock on her door. She opened it to find Ji-Hoon in a dark gray suit, holding a single white orchid. You're punctual, she said, taking the flower. I'm many things. Unreliable isn't one of them. His eyes traveled over her dress with obvious appreciation. You look beautiful. In the car, a different Mercedes, with Da-Young driving again, Amara finally asked, where are we going? My grandmother's restaurant. It's not open to the public tonight. You closed a restaurant for us? I want to talk without interruption. And my halmiani makes the best Korean food in Los Angeles. Ji-Hoon glanced at her. I hope you're hungry. The restaurant was in the heart of Koreatown, a small, elegant space with traditional decor. An elderly Korean woman was waiting at the door, and her face lit up when she saw Ji-Hoon. She spoke rapidly in Korean, pulling him into a hug. Ji-Hoon responded in the same language, his entire demeanor changing. Softer, warmer, more open. Then he turned to Amara. Halmiani. This is Amara. Amara, my grandmother Mrs. Kim. Mrs. Kim studied Amara with sharp, knowing eyes. Then she smiled and took Amara's hands. Welcome, she said in heavily accented English. You call me Halmiani. Means grandmother. It's lovely to meet you, Amara said, instantly charmed. Halmiani said something else in Korean, and Ji-Hoon actually blushed slightly. She says you have kind eyes and a strong spirit. And that it's about time I brought a woman to meet her. Ji-Hoon never brings anyone here, Halmiani added, patting Amara's hand. You special. I bring special food. You sit, you eat, you talk. She disappeared into the kitchen, leaving Amara and Ji-Hoon alone in the candlelit restaurant. Ji-Hoon led her to a table by the window, pulling out her chair with old-fashioned courtesy. Your grandmother is wonderful, Amara said as they sat. She's the only family I have left. The only person who knew me before I became this. Ji-Hoon gestured vaguely at himself. She still sees the boy, not the man I had to become. Tell me about him. The boy. Ji-Hoon was quiet for a moment, his fingers tracing patterns on the tablecloth. I was born in Seoul. My father was Korean, my mother was half Korean, half Latina. Her mother had emigrated from Mexico. We moved to LA when I was 10. My father was charming, successful, everything you'd want. In public. His jaw tightened. In private, he was a monster. Amara reached across the table, covering his hand with hers. He looked at their joined hands as if surprised by the contact. It started small, he continued quietly. A slap here, a shove there. My mother would make excuses, would tell me to be good so I wouldn't make him angry. But nothing we did was ever good enough. His voice had gone flat, emotionless, the tone of someone who'd told this story to himself so many times it no longer hurt. Or hurt so much he had to go numb to tell it. When I was 15 he went too far. I came home from school and found her on the kitchen floor. She was already gone. Ji-Hoon, Amara whispered, her heart breaking for the boy he'd been. My father tried to claim it was an accident. He had money, connections. He would have gotten away with it. Ji-Hoon's hand turned under hers, gripping her fingers tightly. But I had friends in dark places. Friends who owed my mother favors. My father's body was found 3 weeks later. Accidental overdose, the police said. I knew better. You were 15. I was 15 and I'd learned a very important lesson. The law doesn't protect the vulnerable. Money and power do. He met her eyes. So I got money and power. I built an empire from nothing. I made sure that in my territory, men like my father don't get to hurt people. I made sure that when someone cries for help, someone answers. Amara understood now. The man across from her wasn't evil. He was broken in all the same places she was. Just put back together differently. That's why you helped me, she said. That's why I can't not help you. Ji-Hoon's thumb brushed over her knuckles. When I saw you that night, terrified and trying so hard to be brave, I saw my mother. I saw every woman who ever needed someone to stand between her and a monster. And I swore to myself, to my mother's memory, that I would be that someone. Before Amara could respond, Halmiani emerged with an array of dishes, Korean barbecue, kimchi stew, japchae, and several things Amara didn't recognize but looked delicious. She also brought out a special dish, explaining in broken English that it was her late daughter-in-law's favorite recipe, a Korean-Mexican fusion that honored both her heritages. She would like you, Halmiani told Amara, patting her shoulder. She would say, Ji-Hoon finally showing good taste. Over dinner, the conversation shifted to lighter topics. Ji-Hoon asked about Amara's life, her family back in Lagos, her dreams of opening her own catering business someday, her love of cooking. He told her about his legitimate businesses, about learning to speak 5 languages to expand his influence, about his grandmother's determination to teach him traditional Korean values no matter what else he was learning on the streets. You speak 5 languages? Amara asked, impressed. Korean, English, Japanese, Mandarin, and Spanish. Some Russian, but not fluent. He said it casually, like it was no big deal. In my world, language is power. Being able to speak to people in their native tongue, to understand what they're really saying, it's survival. Say something to me in Korean, Amara requested impulsively. Ji-Hoon's eyes darkened slightly. He spoke, his voice low and intimate. The words rolled off his tongue like poetry. What did you say? I said, you're the first person in 10 years to make me want to be someone better than I am. He watched her carefully. Is that too honest? No, Amara whispered. It's perfect. After dinner, Ji-Hoon asked Dae-Young to drive around for a while. In the back of the Mercedes, with the city lights streaming past, Amara felt suspended in a moment between her old life and whatever came next. I need you to understand what you're getting into if we do this, Ji-Hoon said seriously. I have enemies. Rival organizations, corrupt cops, federal agents trying to build a case. Anyone close to me becomes a target. I have security, I have precautions, but there's always risk. And if I said I wanted to walk away? Then Dae-Young would take you home. I'd make sure you stayed protected from a distance, And you'd never see me again. He turned to face her fully. I'd hate it. But I'd do it. Your safety and your choice matter more than what I want. Amara thought about Darius, who'd never given her choices. Who'd controlled every aspect of her life through fear and violence. Who'd made her feel small and powerless. Then she thought about Ji-Hoon, who'd given her nothing but choices from the moment they met. Who'd been violently protective but never violent toward her. Who looked at her like she was precious and strong at the same time. I don't want to walk away, she said quietly. Amara. I don't want safe if safe means alone. She took his hand. I've been alone and scared for 6 months. Before that, I was with someone for 3 years and still alone and scared. You make me feel. She struggled to find the words. You make me feel like maybe I don't have to be afraid anymore. Like maybe I can be strong because someone's got my back. Ji-Hoon pulled her closer, his arm going around her shoulders. I will always have your back, he said fiercely. Always. Anyone who wants to hurt you goes through me first. That's not a normal thing to say on a second date, Amara pointed out, but she was smiling. Nothing about this is normal. Ji-Hoon's hand came up to cup her face. But maybe that's okay. Maybe we don't need normal. Maybe we just need honest. Then be honest, Amara said. What do you want from this? From me. Ji-Hoon's thumb traced her cheekbone, his touch reverent. Everything. I want to know what makes you laugh, what keeps you up at night, what you dream about when you finally feel safe enough to sleep. I want to take you to places you've never been, introduce you to parts of my world that aren't violent and dark. I want to watch you build your catering business and be there to celebrate every success. I want. He paused, his voice dropping lower. I want to be the reason you smile. The person you call when something good happens. The man who gets to hold you when things are hard. Amara's breath caught. That's a lot. Too much. No, she whispered. It's exactly right. Ji-Hoon leaned in slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. When his lips met hers, it was soft and careful and full of promise. Amara's hands came up to his shoulders, anchoring herself as the kiss deepened. He tasted like tea and possibility. When they finally broke apart, both breathing harder, Ji-Hoon rested his forehead against hers. Stay with me tonight, he said. Not for. I just want you close. Want to know you're safe. My penthouse has guest rooms, security, everything you need. No pressure. Just stay. Every self-preservation instinct Amara had screamed that this was too fast, too intense, too dangerous. But her heart, her exhausted heart that had been running for so long, wanted to stop running. Wanted to feel safe. Wanted to trust that maybe, just maybe, this dangerous man with gentle hands could be her sanctuary. Okay, she said. I'll stay. Ji-Hoon's penthouse was stunning. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, minimalist decor in blacks and grays, expensive art on the walls. But what struck Amara most was how lived in it felt. Books in Korean and English stacked on tables, a pair of reading glasses on the kitchen counter, photos of his grandmother scattered throughout. The guest room is down the hall, Ji-Hoon said, showing her to a beautifully appointed bedroom with its own bathroom. But if you need anything, can't sleep, feel unsafe, just want company, my room is at the other end. And there are guards stationed throughout the building. Do you ever relax? Amara asked. Let your guard down? Ji-Hoon considered the question seriously. Not in 10 years. But tonight, knowing you're here and safe, I think I might try. He left her to get settled, lending her one of his shirts to sleep in. Amara changed and washed her face, then found herself too wired to sleep. She wandered out to the living room and found Ji-Hoon on the balcony, looking out at the city. Can't sleep either? She asked, stepping outside. He turned, his eyes traveling over her in his oversized shirt. Something heated flickered in his gaze before he controlled it. My mind is very loud tonight. What's it saying? That I'm making a mistake getting you involved in my world. That I'm being selfish. That the smart thing would be to let you go. He pulled her closer, his arms wrapping around her from behind as they both looked at the city. But then it reminds me that I've never wanted something this much. Never felt this desperate to keep someone close. Amara leaned back against his chest, feeling his heartbeat against her back. I'm scared, she admitted. Terrified, actually. But not of you. I'm scared of how much I already trust you. How safe I feel with you. It's been less than a week and I feel like my life has completely shifted. Mine too. Ji-Hoon's arms tightened. I've built my entire existence on control. Controlling situations, controlling outcomes, controlling my emotions. And then you sat on my lap and everything I'd carefully constructed started cracking. He pressed a kiss to the top of her head. You terrify me, Amara Okonkwo. Because I can't control how I feel about you. And in my world, lack of control gets people killed. Then we learn together, Amara said, turning in his arms to face him. You learn to let go a little. I learn to hold on. We figure it out as we go. You make it sound simple. Maybe it is. Maybe we're the ones making it complicated. She reached up, touching his face. I spent 3 years with someone who made everything complicated. Who turned love into a weapon. I don't want complicated anymore, Ji-Hoon. I want honest. I want real. Even if real is dangerous. Ji-Hoon kissed her again, deeper this time, with less restraint. When they finally broke apart, he kept her close. Stay with me, he said again. Not in the guest room. Just, stay. They ended up in his bedroom, but true to his word, it was just to be close. They lay facing each other in the dark, talking about everything and nothing. Ji-Hoon told her about building his empire, about the fine line between justice and revenge, about the weight of being responsible for hundreds of people's livelihoods. Amara told him about her dreams, about her family's expectations, about feeling lost in a city of millions until tonight. Somewhere around 3 in the morning, they finally fell asleep, still facing each other, hands intertwined. Amara woke to sunlight streaming through windows and the smell of coffee. She found Ji-Hoon in the kitchen, cooking breakfast. He was barefoot, wearing sleep pants and a t-shirt, looking more relaxed than she'd seen him. You cook? She asked, surprised. Halmiani insisted. Said no grandson of hers would be helpless in a kitchen. He plated eggs and rice, adding kimchi on the side. It's not fancy, but it's edible. Over breakfast, Ji-Hoon grew serious. I have a proposition for you. Amara's stomach tightened. Okay. I own 5 restaurants. Legitimate, successful, completely legal. One of them needs a new manager. The current one is retiring. It would be a significant pay increase from the diner, and you'd have freedom to experiment with the menu, including adding your own dishes. He watched her carefully. I'm not offering because we're whatever we are. I'm offering because Rita told me you're the hardest worker she's ever had, with natural leadership skills and a gift for making customers feel welcome. And because I'd like you in a position where you're not vulnerable. Where you're building something of your own. Ji-Hoon, I can't just take a job from you. You're not taking anything. You'd be earning it. I'm a businessman first, Amara. I don't put incapable people in positions of power. He reached across the table. Think about it. No pressure. But the offer stands. Before Amara could respond, Ji-Hoon's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression went cold. I have to handle something. Business. Min-Jun will take you home, or you can stay here. Whatever you prefer. What kind of business? Ji-Hoon hesitated, then decided on honesty. Someone stole from my organization. A significant amount. I need to handle it before it becomes a larger problem. Handle it how? That depends on the thief's explanation and attitude. He stood, already shifting back into the cold, controlled persona he showed the world. I don't hide what I am, Amara. This is part of my world. If that's too much, can I come with you? The words were out before Amara could stop them. Ji-Hoon froze. What? You said you wanted honest. You said you wanted me to understand your world. Amara stood too, moving closer to him. So show me. Not the sanitized version. The real thing. Let me see what I'm choosing. Amara, this isn't. I know it's not safe. I know it's not normal. But I need to see it. Need to understand what your life really looks like. Otherwise, I'm just making choices based on feelings and hope, and that's how I ended up with Darius. She took his hand. Show me the truth. All of it. Ji-Hoon studied her face for a long moment. You might not like what you see. Probably not. But I'll know. And I can make a real choice instead of an imaginary one. Finally, he nodded. Get dressed. Stay close to me. Do exactly what I say when I say it. Understood. Understood. 20 minutes later, they were in an SUV heading to a warehouse in an industrial part of the city. Min-Jun drove while two other guards followed in a second vehicle. In the car, Ji-Hoon was silent, his jaw tight. Having second thoughts about bringing me? Amara asked quietly. Many. He glanced at her. But you're right. If you're going to be in my life, you should know what that means. Even the ugly parts. Especially the ugly parts. The warehouse was nondescript from the outside. Inside, it had been converted into what looked like offices and storage. Several of Ji-Hoon's men were waiting, and in the center of the room, tied to a chair, was a young man who couldn't have been more than 25. He was bleeding from his nose, his face already showing bruises. Amara's stomach churned, but she kept her expression neutral. Ji-Hoon approached the man, his movements calm and controlled. He spoke in Korean first, his voice conversational. The young man responded, his words tumbling over each other, clearly terrified. He says he needed the money for his sister's medical bills, Ji-Hoon translated for Amara, though he kept his eyes on the thief. That he planned to pay it back. He took $40,000 from one of our protection payments. He switched back to Korean, asking another question. The response made his expression harden. He's lying, Ji-Hoon said, still in English. His sister died 3 years ago. He needed the money for gambling debts. He crouched in front of the man, his voice dropping to something dangerous. I hate liars. What happened next was calculated and brutal. Ji-Hoon didn't hit the man himself. He didn't need to. He simply gave quiet orders in Korean, and his men administered what Amara realized was a carefully controlled beating. Enough to hurt, to terrify, to make a point, but not enough to cause permanent damage. Amara watched, forcing herself not to look away. This was the reality. This was who Ji-Hoon was in his world. Someone who maintained order through fear and violence when necessary. After 2 minutes that felt like hours, Ji-Hoon raised his hand and the beating stopped. He spoke to the bloodied man again, his tone matter of fact. Then he stood and walked back to Amara. I gave him a choice, Ji-Hoon said quietly. He can work off his debt, the 40,000 plus interest, doing legitimate work in one of my warehouses for the next 2 years. Every penny he earns above basic living expenses goes to repayment. Or he can face the consequences of stealing from me, which would be significantly more permanent. He watched her face. What would you have me do? Amara looked at the broken man in the chair, then at Ji-Hoon. What would happen to him if he doesn't take the work option? His body would be found in 3 days. It would send a message to anyone else thinking about stealing from me. Ji-Hoon said it without emotion. That's how this world works. Mercy is weakness unless it's calculated. I can offer him a way out because I'm strong enough that people won't see it as softness. But I need to know, can you live with this? With me making these choices? Amara's mind raced. This wasn't black and white. The man had stolen, had lied. In Ji-Hoon's world, there had to be consequences or everything would fall apart. But Ji-Hoon was offering a path that didn't end in death, a chance at redemption. Give him the work option, she said finally. But make sure he understands, if he steals again, if he runs, there's no third chance. Something shifted in Ji-Hoon's expression. Respect maybe. Or relief. He turned back to the thief and delivered Amara's judgment in Korean. The man's face crumpled with what looked like grateful terror. He nodded frantically, agreeing to the terms. Min-Jun will handle the details, Ji-Hoon said, already guiding Amara toward the exit. Get him medical attention, set him up in the downtown warehouse, make sure he understands the terms. Outside, in the bright California sunshine, Amara took a deep breath. Her hands were shaking. That was a test, wasn't it? She asked. No. Ji-Hoon stopped, turning to face her. That was me showing you who I am. What I do. The choices I have to make. He cupped her face gently, the contrast between this touch and the violence she just witnessed stark. But your response tells me what I needed to know. Which is? That you see the complexity. That you understand my world isn't evil. It's just different. It has different rules, different codes. You could have demanded I let him go, or insisted I be more brutal. Instead you found the middle path. Justice with mercy. That's rare. His thumb brushed her cheek. That's valuable. That's someone who could actually be my partner, not just someone I protect. I thought I'd be more horrified, Amara admitted. And part of me is. But part of me understands. In your world, you can't show weakness. You have to be hard. But you're not cruel. There's a difference. Most people don't see that difference. Ji-Hoon pulled her closer. My world and the legitimate world, they're not as separate as people think. Businesses destroy competitors. Politicians ruin lives with policies. Corporations sacrifice workers for profit. I'm just more honest about the violence. More direct about the consequences. That's a convenient justification, Amara said, but there was no judgment in her voice. Just observation. Maybe. But it's also true. Ji-Hoon pressed a kiss to her forehead. Come on. Let me show you the other side. The part that isn't about violence and fear. They spent the rest of the day visiting Ji-Hoon's legitimate businesses. The restaurant he'd offered her was beautiful. Upscale but welcoming, with a diverse menu and a staff that clearly respected their boss. He introduced her to the retiring manager, who immediately started talking about the challenges and opportunities of the position. Think about it, Ji-Hoon said as they left. No pressure. But I meant what I said. You'd be good at this. Over the next week, Amara found herself drawn deeper into Ji-Hoon's world. He was careful to separate her from the darkest parts. No more warehouse visits, no discussions of violent business in her presence. But she saw the rest, the legitimate empire he'd built, the people who depended on him, the complex web of loyalty and obligation that held everything together. She also saw his relationship with his grandmother, the way he softened around her. The way Halmiani treated Amara like family from the second visit onward, teaching her Korean cooking techniques and sharing stories about Ji-Hoon's childhood. He's different with you, Halmiani said one afternoon while they were making kimchi together in her restaurant kitchen. Lighter. He smiles more. I haven't seen him smile like that since his mother died. I'm not sure I'm good for him, Amara admitted. His world is so complicated, and I'm just what? Just brave? Just kind? Just exactly what he needs. Halmiani patted her hand. That boy, he built walls so high, so strong. He had to survive. But walls keep out bad things and good things both. You're the first person I've seen him let past those walls. That's not small thing. I'm scared I'll mess this up. That I'm not strong enough for his world. You escaped abusive man. You rebuilt life alone in big city. You sat on lap of dangerous stranger and trusted your instincts. You watched my grandson handle his business and didn't run away. Halmiani squeezed her hand. You already strong enough. You just don't see it yet. That evening, Ji-Hoon took Amara back to his penthouse. Over dinner, takeout because neither of them had energy to cook, they talked about the job offer. I want to say yes, Amara said. But I need to know it's not charity. Not you taking care of me because we're... whatever we are. We're together. Ji-Hoon said it simply, like it was obvious. That's what we are. And it's not charity. I need someone capable in that position. And Rita says you're the best worker she's had in 10 years. Your skills and her recommendation got you the offer. Us being together just means I trust you more than I'd trust a stranger. Okay, Amara decided. I'll do it. I'll take the job. Ji-Hoon's smile was genuine, reaching his eyes in a way that transformed his face. Good. You start Monday. Which gives us the weekend to celebrate. Celebrate how? However you want. My resources are yours. We could fly to San Francisco, drive to the beach, stay in bed for 48 hours. His hand found hers across the table. I just want time with you. Uninterrupted time where we're not dealing with my business or your fears or the complicated parts. Just us. They chose the beach. Ji-Hoon had a house in Malibu that Amara hadn't known about. A smaller property than the penthouse, right on the water. They spent Saturday walking the beach, talking about everything except his business. Sunday they stayed in, cooking together, watching movies, existing in a bubble where the complicated world couldn't touch them. I could get used to this, Amara said, curled against Ji-Hoon on the couch as the sun set over the ocean. This feeling of peace. So could I. His arm tightened around her. I've been thinking about something. Dangerous words. Serious ones. Ji-Hoon shifted so he could see her face. Move in with me. Not just staying over sometimes. Really move in. Bring your things, make my space our space. Let me wake up with you every morning. Ji-Hoon, that's fast. I know. But everything about us has been fast. Why slow down now? His hand cupped her cheek. I'm not good at casual. Amara. I don't do things halfway. Either you're in my life or you're not. And I want you in my life. Completely. Permanently. Amara's heart raced. This was crazy. They'd known each other less than a month. But then again, she'd known Darius for a year before moving in with him, and that had been a disaster. Time wasn't the issue. Trust was. Understanding was. And somehow, impossibly, she trusted Ji-Hoon more than she'd ever trusted anyone. What happens when this gets hard? She asked. When the danger gets real, when your enemies come after me, when the federal agents close in. What happens then? Then I protect you with everything I have. Then we face it together. Then we figure it out. Ji-Hoon's voice was fierce. I won't promise you easy, Amara. I can't. But I promise you I'll never lie, never hide, never leave you to face things alone. That's what I can give you. Is that enough? Amara thought about her tiny studio apartment, about coming home alone to silence and fear. She thought about the past weeks with Ji-Hoon, feeling safe and seen and valued. She thought about the future she could build, with her new job, with this complicated man, with a family his grandmother was already treating her as. Yes, she said. It's enough. I'll move in. Ji-Hoon kissed her then, deep and claiming and full of promise. When they broke apart, he rested his forehead against hers. Thank you, he whispered. For choosing me. For choosing this. For being brave enough to take the risk. Thank you for being worth the risk. They made love that night for the first time. Slow and intense and deeply emotional. Afterward, holding each other in the dark, Amara felt something shift inside her. For the first time since leaving Darius, maybe for the first time in her entire adult life, she felt like she was exactly where she was supposed to be. The next weeks passed in a blur of change. Amara moved into the penthouse, blending her few possessions with Ji-Hoon's carefully curated space. She started her new job and discovered she loved it. The responsibility, the creativity, the satisfaction of building something. Her co-workers accepted her quickly, especially once they realized she wasn't getting special treatment. If anything, Ji-Hoon was harder on her restaurant than his others, expecting excellence. He's testing you, the head chef Marcus explained. Wants to make sure you can handle the pressure, that the other managers respect you. Once you prove yourself, he'll back off. Amara proved herself. Within a month, the restaurant's reviews improved, customer satisfaction increased, and the staff was happier. Ji-Hoon said nothing, but she'd catch him reading the reviews on his phone with a small smile. But it wasn't all peaceful. 3 months into their relationship, the first real threat emerged. A rival organization, trying to expand into Ji-Hoon's territory, decided to send a message. They targeted Amara. She was leaving the restaurant late one night when a van pulled up. 2 men got out, moving toward her with clear intent. Amara's hand was on her phone, Ji-Hoon's number already dialing, when gunshots rang out. The 2 men dropped, not dead but incapacitated, shot in the legs. From the shadows, 3 of Ji-Hoon's guards emerged. One of them, a woman named Yoon, approached Amara calmly. Mr. Kim wants you to know you're safe. Please get in the car. At the penthouse, Ji-Hoon was waiting, his face a mask of controlled fury. The moment he saw Amara, the mask cracked. He pulled her into his arms, holding her so tightly she could barely breathe. Are you hurt? Did they touch you? No. Your people were there before they could. Amara pulled back to look at him. You knew. You knew they were going to try something. I had intelligence suggesting it. I tripled your security 2 days ago. His jaw tightened. This is what I meant, Amara. This is the danger. They tried to take you to get to me. But they failed. Because you protected me. Like you promised. Amara cupped his face, feeling the tension in him. I'm okay. I'm safe. Because of you. This time. Ji-Hoon's voice was raw. But what about next time? What if my intelligence isn't good enough? My guards aren't fast enough? Then we deal with it. Together. Amara kissed him softly. I knew what I was signing up for, remember? I chose this. I chose you. One scare doesn't change that. You're insane, Ji-Hoon said, but he was holding her like he'd never let go. Maybe. Or maybe I'm just in love with you. The words slipped out before Amara could stop them. Ji-Hoon went very still. What did you say? I love you, Amara repeated, more confidently this time. I'm in love with you, Kim Ji-Hoon. With your darkness and your protection and your terrible coffee-making skills and the way you soften around your grandmother. All of it. I love you too. Ji-Hoon's voice was fierce, certain. I've loved you since you trusted me enough to sit on my lap and ask for help. Since you looked at my world and didn't run. Since you challenged me to be better while accepting who I am. He kissed her deeply. I love you, Amara Okonkwo. And I will spend the rest of my life proving that you were right to choose me. The next morning, Ji-Hoon was different. More focused, more intense. He spent hours in his office, speaking rapid Korean on the phone, issuing orders. When he finally emerged, his expression was grim. The organization that came after you, they're done, he said simply. Their leadership received an offer. Leave Los Angeles and never return, or face complete destruction. They're leaving. Just like that. Just like that. Ji-Hoon sat beside her, taking her hand. I made it clear that you're under my protection. That touching you means war. And they know I have the resources and the will to follow through. His thumb traced circles on her palm. No one will come after you again. I've made sure of it. By being terrifying? By being clear about consequences. It's the only language this world understands. He pulled her closer. I know you don't like the violence. I know it bothers you. But it keeps you safe. It keeps us safe. Amara leaned into him, breathing in his familiar scent. I know. And I'm not naive enough to wish you were different. This is who you are. This is the world we live in. I accept it. Even when it gets dark? Especially when it gets dark. That's when you need someone who won't run. She looked up at him. I'm not running, Ji-Hoon. Not now, not ever. 6 months passed. Amara's restaurant became one of the most successful in Ji-Hoon's portfolio. She'd added Nigerian dishes to the menu, creating a Korean-Nigerian fusion that critics raved about. Halmiani came in weekly, proud as any grandmother, bringing friends to show off her Amara's cooking. Ji-Hoon's businesses continued to thrive. He'd successfully negotiated treaties with neighboring organizations, reducing violence while maintaining his territory. The federal investigation stalled without evidence. Life wasn't perfect, but it was good. Until Detective Grace Park showed up at the restaurant. Amara Okonkwo? The Korean-American detective showed her badge. I'm Detective Park, LAPD. I need to talk to you about Kim Ji-Hoon. Amara's stomach dropped, but she kept her expression neutral. I'm working. If you want to talk, it'll have to be later. This won't take long. I just need you to understand what you've gotten involved with. Detective Park's voice was earnest, almost pleading. Kim Ji-Hoon is under investigation for racketeering, money laundering, and suspected involvement in 3 murders. He's dangerous, Ms. Okonkwo. And people close to him have a habit of disappearing or ending up dead when they become liabilities. Then it's a good thing I'm not a liability. Amara met the detective's eyes steadily. Is there anything else? We can protect you. Witness protection, immunity from prosecution, a fresh start. All you have to do is testify about what you've seen, what you know about his operations. I manage a restaurant. I don't know anything about his operations. You live with him. You're in his inner circle. You must have seen something, heard something. I've seen a man who treats his employees well, pays fair wages, and has never been anything but respectful to me. Amara's voice was firm. If that's all, Detective, I have a restaurant to run. Detective Park handed her a card. When you change your mind, and you will, once you see who he really is, call me. The offer stands. That evening, Amara told Ji-Hoon about the visit. He went very quiet, his expression unreadable. "She's not wrong," he finally said. "I am dangerous. I have done things that would horrify you if you knew the details. And staying with me means you'll always be in the crosshairs of law enforcement." "I know. You could take her offer. Start over somewhere safe, away from all this." "I could," Amara agreed. "But I won't. Because safe without you isn't something I want anymore." She moved to stand between his knees where he sat on the couch. "You asked me once what I wanted from this, from us. I want a life. A real life. With you. Building businesses, making memories, maybe someday having a family. I want the complicated, dangerous, beautiful life we're creating together." Ji-Hoon pulled her down onto his lap, an echo of that first night in the club. "A family?" he asked quietly. "Eventually. Maybe. If you want that too. I want everything with you." Ji-Hoon's hands framed her face. "Everything. Amara. The businesses, the family, the complicated life. All of it. But first." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small box. Amara's breath caught. "I bought this 2 months ago," Ji-Hoon said, opening the box to reveal a stunning diamond ring with sapphire accents. "I've been carrying it everywhere, waiting for the right moment. And I realized, there is no right moment. There's just now and us, and the choice to keep choosing each other every day." He took her hand. "Marry me, Amara. Not because it's logical or safe or what anyone else thinks we should do. Marry me because I love you more than I thought I could love anyone. Because you make me want to be better while accepting who I am. Because a life without you isn't a life I want." Tears streamed down Amara's face. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes, I'll marry you." Ji-Hoon slid the ring onto her finger, then kissed her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. When they finally broke apart, both were crying. "I never thought I'd have this," Ji-Hoon said, his voice rough with emotion. "Never thought I deserved it. Then you sat on my lap, terrified and brave, and everything changed. Best impulsive decision I ever made," Amara said through her tears and laughter. They married 3 months later in a small ceremony at Halmiani's restaurant. The guest list was carefully curated. Halmiani, Amara's sister Chioma who flew in from New York, a handful of Ji-Hoon's most trusted people. It wasn't traditional by any standard, but it was perfect. A Korean-Nigerian fusion ceremony that honored both their heritages, officiated by a judge who owed Ji-Hoon a favor and asked no questions. When Ji-Hoon slid the wedding band onto Amara's finger, he spoke in Korean, then translated, "You are my light in the darkness. My hope in the chaos. My home when I've been lost. I promise to protect you, honor you, and love you for all my days." Amara's vows were simpler. "I choose you. Every day in every way I choose you. In the darkness and the light, in the danger and the peace, I choose you. Always." If you've made it this far in Amara and Ji-Hoon's story, drop a comment and let us know what you think. Should we create more stories about them? What did you think of their journey from that first desperate moment in the club to this? And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more romance stories that will keep you up all night. A year into their marriage, life had settled into a rhythm. Amara now managed 3 of Ji-Hoon's restaurants and was planning to open her own catering company. Ji-Hoon had successfully legitimized more of his operations, though the shadows still called to him when necessary. They'd bought a house in the hills, something with a yard, with room for the future they were building. Detective Park still came around occasionally, still made offers. Amara always declined politely. Some bridges were never meant to be crossed. One evening, Amara was cooking dinner when Ji-Hoon came home early, something rare. He wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "What's wrong?" she asked, sensing his tension. "Nothing's wrong. Everything's right. That's what scares me." He turned her to face him. "I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. For the feds to find evidence, for a rival to make a move, for you to wake up and realize you made a mistake choosing this life." "Ji-Hoon." Amara cupped his face, making him look at her. "I'm not going anywhere. Yes, your world is dangerous. Yes, there are always threats. But you know what I've learned? Every life has danger. Darius was normal. And he almost killed me. You're dangerous, and you've given me everything I ever wanted. Safety, love, purpose, a future. So stop waiting for me to leave and just be here with me, now, in this moment. Ji-Hoon kissed her softly. How did I get so lucky? You didn't. You earned it. By being honest, by protecting me, by loving me the way I needed to be loved. She smiled. And I earned you by being brave enough to sit on a stranger's lap and trust my instincts. Best mistake you ever made. Not a mistake, Amara corrected. The best decision. There's a difference. That night, lying in bed with Ji-Hoon's arm around her, Amara thought about the journey that had brought her here. From fleeing Darius in terror to building an empire with Ji-Hoon. From feeling powerless and alone to feeling strong and loved. From hiding in shadows to standing in the light, unafraid. I love you, she whispered into the darkness. I love you too, Ji-Hoon responded, his voice already heavy with sleep. My brave, beautiful wife. My light in all this darkness. Amara smiled and closed her eyes. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new dangers, new opportunities. But tonight, she was exactly where she belonged. In the arms of the dangerous man who'd promised to protect her, and who'd kept that promise every single day since she'd been brave enough to sit on his lap and ask for help. Some love stories start with meet cuties and flowers. Theirs started with fear and desperation. But it grew into something stronger than either of them could have imagined. Something worth fighting for. Worth protecting. Worth every risk they'd taken to get here. And as Amara drifted off to sleep, she knew one thing with absolute certainty. She'd choose him again. Every time. In every life. The Shadow King who'd become her home, her haven, her forever. Thank you so much for watching this story. If you loved Amara and Ji-Hoon's story, please hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and drop a comment telling us your favorite moment. Should we create more stories about them? What would you like to see next? Your support means everything to us. Until next time, remember. Sometimes the most dangerous choice is the one that saves you. Stay brave, stay loved, and keep choosing the life you deserve.